action. Good morning, race fans. Welcome to episode number 4 of the Announcer Booth Podcast presented by Rapid Graphics. Scotty, Too Hottie, and Evan Pornbray here with you once again.
How's it going this morning?
It's going great, Pornbray. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good. What do we got on the show today, man?
And this week we're going to be talking to Zach Olivier along with your question of the day, which is, what do you do with your downtime in the off-season? Along with talking about consistency on the track.
Talking about consistency on the track. How do you spend your time in the offseason? And a great interview with Zach Olivier. All this and more coming up next on the Announcer Booth Podcast. And happy Wednesday morning to you, race fans. Evan, the middle of the week is here again. It's going to be a great day. Work is in full swing. The offseason is in full swing for us, too. Well, it's almost in full swing. We got a few live events coming up that we'll get to later, but yeah, here we are once again.
Here we are.
Oh, man.
Great.
Excuse me. Go ahead, my friend.
Great Wednesday morning.
Great Wednesday morning indeed, and a little brisk and chilly out this morning, but you know what? That is okay. Another great day to be alive, and another great show we got ahead for you guys here, too. What do you say?
Yeah, it's definitely a cold one, and I'm pretty excited about this show.
Yeah, so am I. Talking to a guy this week that with a class that we normally don't hear of, and as far as I know, up in my area here in like the southeast, South Dakota, northwest Iowa part is basically the only places like I've heard this class happen. I know, Evan, when I told you about this class, you were like, okay, A, what is that? B, those sound awesome. And C, where can I buy?
Do that.
Where can I buy one?
Exactly.
That, of course, being the late model street stock division, and they are run at Huset Speedway Sunday night during the regular season, and as well as I-90 Speedway on Saturday nights during the regular season as well. So Zach Olivier, driver of the 71Z, is on the show today. And Evan, I know you couldn't make it for the interview, but you listened to it, and I know you got some great input here. And one of the things that Zach talked about that we're going to talk about on the show today here is consistency. The things that you got to do to be consistent to, make sure you get into victory lane and make sure that you're finishing each and every week.
Oh, yeah. Like you mentioned, I wasn't able to be on the interview because I was stuck at work, working overtime. But definitely one I wish I would have been a part of. He seems like a great guy, and he knows what he's talking about.
He definitely does. I mean, he has been just on fire this season. Like I mentioned, with just a few of his stats, I mean, he had a lot of top 5 finishes this year, 9 wins on the season between both tracks, coming home with the track championship at I-90 Speedway. And I mean, I remember opening night, as I was the infield reporter for I-90 Speedway here in 2021. He climbs out of the car and he just comes right over and gives me a great big hug, as you'll hear in the first part of the interview. And it's like, okay, this is different. I've done many victory lane interviews before. First time I've ever gotten hugged. So no, Zach just a great guy all the way around. And the consistency factor, Evan. I mean, we've kind of talked about this in relation a little bit, but races they say are always won in the shop. I mean, we've talked shop talk before, and just how important it is. But consistency, though, is it kind of goes hand in hand with, working in the shop at the same time, being out on that track. Make sure you're hitting your marks, making the moves that you need to, but then ultimately, making sure that you're writing everything down and paying a close attention to track conditions, setup wise, so you can make the consistency work each and every week and be hopefully consistent everywhere you go.
Well, of course, like you said, obviously in the shop, that's a lot of it, but on the track, like you've said, it hitting your mark every single time, being the consistent driver, holding your line, knowing what you got to do is big.
Yeah, it's definitely big indeed. And one piece of advice that I was given was if you're just getting into racing, yes, seat time is everything. That way, you're learning about the car and learning how to be consistent, hitting your marks and whatnot. So a lot of people think when they get in the car, hey, I need to hit every racetrack I can because, seat time is important. Yes, it is important, but it's also important to learn. So a piece of advice I was given is, race one track consistently each and every week, for the season. Once you start running consistently at that track and getting those finishes, being in the top 5, top 10, each and every week, then start traveling to other racetracks and learning how to figure out those tracks, be consistent there, and that will make you a better driver back at home.
I honestly could not agree with you more on that.
And I mean, I've traveled to a few different tracks in the region here, and I didn't have really a lot of seat time moving up into the hobby stock in 2019. But, just learning from these other tracks, I feel did make me a better driver at home. Evan, I mean, you've got a couple home tracks in your area, and especially with the competition out in Nebraska, how tough is it just to be consistent week after week?
Like you said, I got 3 different tracks pretty close to me that, you could consider home. They're all 3 different. So trying to, do your homework, studying the track, and watching the other races was big for me, at least, was watching the other races, see what the track's doing, and just going out and giving it your all and seeing how you can do.
And I think that's basically what you have to do at every track. And also, talking to other drivers, seeing, what knowledge you can, gain from them and, put that to good use as well. And just seeing, what works better with the car and, trying different things. One of our good friends and a good friend of the show, dearest mother, Nate DeSivey.
Guy changes. He tries so much stuff.
He tries something different between hot laps, between heat races, between feature. It's crazy, but some of the stuff that he comes up with works. And
when it works, it works.
Yeah, it works. And you and I have seen it firsthand. And I mean, you and I have both raced with him too. And it's just, he tells you some of the setups that he does with the springs and the shocks and tire pressures. And you kind of look at him and you're like, you're nuts.
What?
You're crazy. Yeah. That will never work. And then, later on that night, there he is, the one standing in victory lane going, well, I guess that worked. We'll write this one down.
Yeah. It's all trial and error, and he's not afraid of that at all.
And the thing is, most of the time he's very consistent with his finishes, especially when he was in the hobby stock. So I know he's been trying some different things on his dad's stock car, and he himself is getting a stock car built in the off season. So it's going to be different to see 231 cars out there in the stock car division, both out of O'Neill, Nebraska. And if I know Nate, he's got a trick or two up his sleeve.
He's got something. You never know what he's got, but he's always got something.
That is the perfect definition of dearest mother, Nate DeSivey. And, so we talked about the competition, out there in Nebraska. Coming up to my area and with the USRA sanction, there's a lot of guys, especially in the hobby stock class, and even basically every class, hobby stocks, stock cars, and B mods around here, and in late model street stocks, like you'll hear later on from Zach Olivier. It's hard to run with these guys because these guys are consistent each and every week, constantly running top 5s. But not only are they doing that at each and every track around this area, they'll travel, do the same thing. But then in the national points, about 4, 5, I want to say probably about 6 or 7 drivers in the top 10 in national points are guys that I used to race with weekly. And, I'm calling their races weekly now too. And especially, and this is just the hobby stock division. These guys know how to put on a good show, and they've been in the game so long. All these guys are friends, and they all work together, and they race hard together too. And if that's the definition of consistency, if that isn't the definition of consistency, I should say, then I don't know what is.
Oh, exactly.
And I know you've seen footage of it, Evan. I mean, and it's hard. I mean, and even some of like the IMCA tracks, down by you and then in the Sioux City area, there are at least 10, if not more, any given driver that can win on any given race night.
Oh, absolutely. You get your, certain tracks, you got, the most dominant person, but even then, it's never guaranteed. You got those hitters out there that, let's try something new tonight, and it works. Well, your, person that was supposed to win didn't win because you got the other heavy hitters out there trying stuff to make faster.
And we've seen that over the years too, and just in all forms of racing, in all classes of racing too. It's, it seems like one person is usually dominant in that class, and then after a while, with everyone else trying everything, they finally catch up to them, and then it basically resets the entire, playing field. It's like, okay, now what do we have to do now? Because we're basically on a level playing field. What do we have to do to make sure that, we can stay ahead of this other person? And it's all, well, for the most of it, it's all friendly rivalry and whatnot. But just to see those battles on the racetrack is awesome. And like we said, it comes down to a lot of, working in the shop. I myself didn't scale a car when I was racing, but, I know a lot of guys, they scale their car every week trying to make sure, to get the speed and that, side bite coming through the corners.
I should have scaled it more. I never once put it on scales, but like we've talked about before, I pit for a couple different guys. We spend 5 hours every couple of weeks on the scale.
Right. And like I said, I never scaled mine either, but, we tried a lot of things at the track with rear springs, different shock packages and air pressures in the tires. And, a lot of people don't realize, how like the type of, spring height or, spring poundage, air pressure, different shock and whatnot, that even just the little changes, you take a pound of air out of the right rear tire or put some in the left rear tire or whatever, it changes the entire handling of the car.
Oh, it does. With my hobby stock, I never really played with much. I didn't really know much. I just jumped in and drove it. I got a couple friends on board that kind of knew what they were talking about, and we started trying different things, and here we go. I'm getting faster.
Yeah, and that was, that's when you get faster and get a better handling of your car. I feel that's when you be more consistent and especially, just really find that drive that you've been looking for, and that you'll slowly start moving to the front.
No, absolutely.
So consistency, that's the name of the game. And got to find your Nick and make sure you're working towards that each and every week to be consistent. We're going to take a quick break in here from the Fort Orange Salvage junk haulers, and we'll be right back with the question of the week. Stay tuned.
Evicted tenants leave a mess behind? Have an old appliance that you're tired of staring at? Yard waste, branches, carpet, old furniture, other discarded items you just want gone? Well, Fort Orange Salvage can take it all away. Call Jamie at 605-376-8532 for a quote today, or you can find him on Facebook by searching Fort Orange Salvage-Junk Haulers. Contractless payment through Venmo or PayPal is also available. Quick, easy, and affordable junk hauling. Fort Orange Salvage. We pick things up and we take them away. Serving Sioux Falls, South Dakota and surrounding areas.
And we are back with the Announcers Booth podcast presented by Rapid Graphics. And yes, cannot say enough about Jamie and Fort Orange Salvage and the Purple Rat Pack Thrift Shop. I know it's closing for the season here soon, but Jamie also doing that out of Lennox, South Dakota. And they bring you the question of the week each and every week. And Evan, what was our question that we had this week?
Our question was, what do you do in your downtime in the off season?
What do you do in your downtime in the off season, Evan, besides talk to me each and every week?
Well, now it's talking to you, but I'm also trying to build a car. So
I wish I could be saying that, but financial wise, Scotty just can't afford that right now. So
I can't afford it either, but we're doing it.
I think that's the definition of racing. Trying to build something you can't afford. So, speaking of building, we're going to go to the Facebook page here to get some answers here. And how do you spend your time in the off season? And Levi Vanderwide, driver of the 8 car from Harrisburg, South Dakota, says this off-season, for the first time, I'll be building a brand new TDR chassis right there out of Hartford, South Dakota. Tim Dan Racing, of course, he builds hobby stock chassis, late model street stocks, modifieds, sportsman's cars. He does it all. So Levi looking at a brand new TDR, also looking at a brand new TDR. Carrie Jerns, her husband Brandon Jerns, who will be on a future episode of the show here, says building a brand new TDR as well, and we will have a second car for their son, who is also racing.
I got Sean Suska. The off season is filled with lots of video games in order to survive the winter. I couldn't agree more with that one.
Absolutely. I hear you.
I also got Greg Hammond. Enjoy the holidays with family, make some muffins, then begin building for next year.
Making muffins. Put me down for a few blueberry there, Greg. And, speaking of baking here, Randy Ripkema chimes in with, I'm making cookies. So Randy making cookies. And we have Jeremy Bolway here too. Says traveling around the Midwest watching my kid play hockey.
And I got Austin Brands, tearing the car apart and put it back together and spend more time with the family and always cherish those off-season memories.
Absolutely a great thing to do as well. We're going to head on over to TikTok now. And, Dawson March, driver of the 5M Sport Mod from Sioux City, Iowa, says, well, you know how I spend my off season? I don't even look at my car because then I'll end up going someplace warm and race. Dawson, that doesn't sound like a half bad idea.
That doesn't sound bad at all.
If you and your dad need some help, let me know. We'll see what we can do. Let me see here. Hockey mom Jess, that'd be Jessica Christensen, says hockey. And right there with Jeremy, hockey in the off season as well. What do we got also on TikTok there, Evan?
I don't even have it pulled up, so I don't know.
Even have it pulled up. Well,
I'm slacking. I'm sorry.
So what you're saying is you slack in the off season. Gotcha.
I am slacking in the off season.
It doesn't look like we have anything else here on TikTok now that we look at it. That is the 4-Orange Salvage question of the week. Your question for next week, for those of you that are tuned in, this question actually comes from one of our listeners, and Evan, it's someone that you and I actually know very well. It would be the voice of the Boone County Raceway in Albion, Nebraska there, as well as one of the voices of the US 30 Speedway in Columbus, Nebraska, and Ryan Kumpf. And Evan, what is his question for the question of the week for next week?
He, along with us, want to know what song gets you pumped up before the feature race.
That there are so many answers to that question that I could give right now, but we'll find that out next week. So once again, what song gets you pumped up for feature time at the racetrack? And once again, a big thank you to Ryan Kumpf for submitting that question in. That has been the 4-Orange Salvage question of the week here on this week's episode number 4. We're going to take another quick break hear from our title advertiser and Rapid Graphics, and then we will, just on the other side of that break, we will hear from Zach Olivier. Stay tuned.
Rapid Graphics, located in Rock Rapids, Iowa, on the corner of Highway 9 and 75, specialize in graphics and signage of all types. They specialize in indoor and outdoor signage, banners, commercial vehicles, custom logos, race car graphics, and much, much more. Rapid Graphics have the tools to get your job done, and you can find them easily on Facebook at Rapid Graphics 12. For more information, contact Rapid Graphics for all of your custom graphic and signage needs today.
The Sodak iRacing League is the premier iRacing league for drivers, crew members, fans, and sponsors in the tri-state area around South Dakota, Iowa, and Minnesota. From street stocks to super late models, modifieds to sprint cars, The Sodak iRacing League does them all. You can follow all of their seasons live and free on Advantage Racing TV. For more information, look for Sodak iRacing on Facebook or join the league by searching for Sodak under the Leagues tab on your iRacing account.
And back here on the Announcer's Booth podcast presented by Rapid Graphics. And Evan, you and I cannot say enough about Blake there at Rapid Graphics. That dude, when it comes to any designs or, graphics or canvas prints, T-shirts, stickers, race car wraps, he is definitely the man to call.
Oh, definitely. We gave him a small idea for my design, and he blew it out of the water.
Absolutely, and just as well as he's done the design for the Announcers Booth podcast for the logo. He's done design for the logo that I have, the S2H, and then the EH deal for Evan as well. So for the suicide awareness for Evan, the autism awareness for me, and just the podcast in itself. Been a great help, so could not be more pleased to have Blake and Rapid Graphics along for the ride with us here on the Announcers Booth podcast.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't, be more thankful for him.
Absolutely.
He does a great job.
Absolutely. So moving on here, we're going to get into the Sodak iRacing Series phone lines now, and like I said, Evan, you weren't able to be here for the interview, unfortunately, but you did get a chance to listen to it. And we're going to talk with Zach Olivier, the driver of the 71Z late model street stock. And Zach's going to get into of what a late model street stock is, how they work, what it's like to drive them. And Evan, I know, like we said earlier, you were really intrigued by these cars the first time I sent you that Snapchat of them. And what was your takeaway from the interview here that you listened to?
It sounds like a fun time.
It really does.
Just, the way, even, just besides driving them, his background from coming up from motocross racing into what he is today, it just is an awesome interview.
Absolutely. So without further ado, here is the interview with the driver of the 71Z from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Zach Olivier. So making his way into the announce booth now would be the driver of the 71Z of Zach Olivier, and driver of a class that you're probably not familiar with unless you're in our neck of the woods, and that would be the late model street stock division. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that right. Late model and street stock in the same name, in the same sentence. Yes, it is a thing. I hear they're really fun to drive, and Zach here can tell us all about it. Zach, thanks for coming on the show, man. Greatly appreciated.
Hey, Scotty, thanks for having me, although I got to say it's going to be hard for me to give you a victory lane hug since we're doing this over the phone, but we're looking forward to some more of those next summer.
Absolutely. And you mentioned victory lane, finding that 9 times here this season with the late model street stocks, whether it was the TNR contracting late model street stocks at I-90 Speedway in Hartford, South Dakota, or the Nordstrom's Automotive late model street stocks in Houston Speedway in Brandon, South Dakota. So everyone's, I'm sure, intrigued by now, Zach. In the best way you can describe it, what is a late model street stock, and like what type of car are we looking at here when we hear that?
Well, if you were to start with a IMCA USRA stock car, it's a pretty good start, and then add soft tires, aftermarket bodies, a spoiler, and a little more horsepower, and you'd be pretty darn close to where we're at. So just a little bit of a outlaw stock car, I'd say. Certainly not the suspension stuff that the late model guys are doing. Just a souped up stock car.
So a souped up stock car indeed. And now, have you done any like stock car racing prior to late model street stock, or have you always been in the street stock division?
We ran hobby stocks for 6 years, and then we dabbled in the stock cars for a few years, and then when Hartford came back 3 years ago, we kind of switched back to the street stock division, late model street stock division, and we've done that the last 3 seasons. But we're hoping to do a little bit of stock car stuff in 2022. So I'm looking forward to that.
So going from like a stock car then to a late model street stock, what would be like the big differences in between those two cars? I know I've heard you and a few other drivers in the class say they drive a lot tighter than what like a regular stock car would be. What are some of the other differences?
Yeah, they're just faster. The late model street stocks are more hooked up. It's easier to get traction. Those stock cars on the hard hockey puck tires and no spoiler, they're just hard to get much forward drive coming out of the corner. So in that sense, a late model street stock's a little bit easier to drive. You've got that downforce, you've got the soft tires there. So not that they're easy to drive at all, but I would say of the two, the late model street stocks just a little bit easier to get hooked up.
And I know you've said on occasion too, your dad is basically the biggest influence that got you into this class. Were you always involved with racing when your dad was in the class then years back, or how did that all come about? Like, how did you get your start in racing?
Yeah, it's been a slow transition. My dad raced when I was little. He did some dirt bike stuff, some go-kart stuff, and then eventually ended up in the sportsman division, which was actually, I would say, most similar to the stock car division, and he did that for a solid decade, I'd say, doing sportsman stuff and a little bit of street stock stuff, and I always went to the races with him as much as I possibly could, and eventually I got into dirt bike racing myself in about 2004-ish, and did that for 6 years, and then we had a lot of fun on dirt bikes. We had some success, and one day Dad said, "Hey, I want to put together a hobby stock. Will you drive it?" And I thought, "Heck yeah, I want to drive it." So, 2009, we did a little bit of both. We did some dirt bike stuff and some hobby stock stuff. And at the end of the season, we just kind of decided we were having more fun with the car racing than the bikes, and the cars safer. Doug Wolfgang told me to get a cage with age, and I had been injured a couple times on dirt bikes, so that's what we did. We sold the bikes and moved full time to the hobby stock, and like I said, did that for 6 years, and then actually did street stock for a couple years, and then stock car for 2 or 3 years, and then back to street stock. So I think it's been about 13 years total in the car between the 3 different divisions.
And having fun every step of the way as well. What is the how big of a change was it going from like the 2 wheels on the dirt bike then to the 4 wheels of the race car?
It's some things are the same, some things are different. I mean, obviously the big thing is you've got twice as many wheels there, and the balance is different. But the way you drive the car with the throttle and with the brake pedal is the same. The way the dirt track changes every lap throughout the night, the way you read the dirt, the fact that you're going in a circle, a lot of left-hand turns, all that's the same. And then the other parts of it, just the dedication, the consistency of racing every weekend, the working on stuff, the constant drive to be better. That stuff's all the same too. So it definitely takes some time takes a little time at least to fully adapt, but getting a start on bikes or 4-wheelers or go-karts or whatever is really going to be a big advantage when you get into a car, and we've seen it many times over the years that somebody grows up racing at something else, something smaller than a car, and when they get into a car, they start having success pretty quickly.
And it seems like you've had a success a lot in this late model street stock division. Just this year alone, just going to read some stats off here. 35 events, 9 wins, 26 top 5s, 30 top 10s, track champion at I-90 Speedway in Hartford, South Dakota, winning the point championship there, and then second in the points at Houston Speedway in Brandon, South Dakota. That is one heck of a year. I know you had some ups and downs, but how would you describe the year that you had here in 2021?
It was really a fantastic year. It was my best year in racing, and 9 wins in any class is a lot. But honestly, before you read the stats, I didn't know we'd had that many top 5s and top 10s. That's pretty amazing. We lost 2 motors throughout the year, and we tried a late model one night, and obviously weren't. I mean, it's pretty tough your first night in the late model to be overly competitive. I think we ran 14th there, and Got into one or two other crashes throughout the year, but I mean, overall, 30 top fives or 30 top tens out of 35 races is pretty darn good, and we're really happy with it. Of course, we look to find ways to improve those other few nights, but I remember that there's arguably the best dirt bike flat track racer of all time, Chris Carr, said that winning championships it's not about winning every race. You can't win every race, but it's about being in contention every night. And for the most part, we did that this season. So it's something that I'm really proud of, and Dad's really proud of, and everybody on our team. We're really happy with 2021.
And just the level of competition in this class, though, there are a few heavy hitters that any given night, there are about, I would say, about 10 different drivers that could win on any given night between the two tracks that this class raced at in 2021. What is it like racing with these guys and just the level of competition and the amount of talent behind the wheels of these machines?
Yeah, it's difficult. You've got to be on every night. We've found nights that we moved one piece of lead in the wrong direction, or we had made one wrong spring change, or I made one dummy decision on the track, and that can be enough to take you completely out of having a chance to win the race. So it is competitive. I don't remember the exact number of guys that won. I want to say it was probably close to 7 that picked up wins throughout the season. And the way our rules work, if you're a high point guy, you've got to start about 10th or 12th every night. So if you start 10th or 12th and you've got 6 or 7 guys in front of you that could win, it's definitely a challenge. You've got to be ready from the time the green flag drops, and you've got to have equipment that's up to par, and you just got to be on it every single night.
And you talk about starting deeper in the field. It seemed like you and another driver would always start side by side, especially at I-90 Speedway, and that would be the 34K of Colby Clausen, rookie to this class here in 2021. And he definitely adapted quickly, and it was always fun seeing you guys just duke it out on the track there and working your way through the field. How fun is it to race with Colby, and just the amount of adaptation that he had right off the bat climbing into that car?
Yeah, Colby was good. Another guy that came from stock cars. He had more second places than anybody in the history of second place. I expect him to pick up some wins next year, but no, he had a great season, and we raced side by side a lot. We raced against each other in stock car too, and he's a good guy, good family, and we just enjoyed racing against each other, and I'm sure he'll be a contender every week next year too.
That it is. And, they always say that racing is a family sport indeed. And just seeing you at the track, some nights you would have your kids down there in the infield at I-90 Speedway. It really is a family sport. How have the kids taken to the car and the whole racing?
Yeah, they love it. They both really enjoy it. My son's pretty convinced that he wants to race a B-mod someday. I'm trying to talk him into a hobby stock, but we'll see. We got about 8 or 10 years until he's ready for that deal. But no, they love it. It's one of those things. If you kind of got to get into it when you're little. If you get into it when you're little, you tend to stick around. If you don't get into racing when you're little, you may never get it in your blood. But they definitely love it, and we look forward to Saturday nights at Hartford all summer long.
And just passing it down through the generations like your dad did to you, and then hopefully on to him someday. Looking forward to 2022. I'm pretty sure we're going to be sticking with the street stock, at least as what I'm assuming. What's the plan looking like moving forward?
Yeah, we'll run Hartford every Saturday. I imagine we'll race Huset's too. We're kind of curious what their schedule brings and what the tour brings. So we'll race a lot of street stock stuff again similar this year. And then the goal is to have a second car ready that we can dabble around and play with and hit some one-off events here and there. We won't race any point stuff with it, but just go to different races here and there, maybe some big money shows, maybe some different stuff, and just have fun with it. Just a no-pressure deal. And we like the stock car deal. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely challenging, and hopefully we can learn some things doing that. bring it back to the street stock deal and make that program a little bit better too.
And it has to be fun and just at least humbling to climb into a car and race at the legendary Huset Speedway each and every week. Track having a full schedule this year in 2021, again, after being sitting dormant for a few years. What was it like climbing back in the car at Huset's and essentially coming back home?
Huset's is just a special place, especially if you grew up in the Sioux Falls area. It's what we did every Sunday night growing up. We just loved racing there, and it's a love-hate relationship. It doesn't seem like there's a lot in between. It seemed like most of the time when we raced Huset's, either we left there having a really great night and we're just super happy about it, or the opposite. We left there frustrated and either the car was tore up or I made a mistake driving, or maybe the car didn't work that well. And so it's definitely a finicky place from a driver's perspective, but we love racing there, and we're definitely glad to have Todd Queering and his team take it over. They've done a wonderful job with the facility and the big races they put on, and we can't wait to see what they're going to do with it next year.
Absolutely. Always looking for bigger and better and brighter things in the future, and hopefully see that 71Z shine in a victory lane no matter where it hits the track. So once again, Zach Olivier, I just got to say thanks for coming on the show, man. I greatly appreciate it, and it was fun watching you this season, and definitely looking forward to what 2022 brings.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, Scotty, and hopefully this winter goes by quickly, and we'll see you in victory lane for a hug not too far from now.
Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Scotty.
So once again, Zach Olivier, driver of the 71Z late model straight stock, and dude, what a heck of a season there for Zach. I mean, just all the stats that he has, 2 tracks, a track championship at I-90 Speedway in Hartford, South Dakota, and coming in second at Huset Speedway in Brandon, South Dakota. Man, what a season.
That one heck of a season, man. Like we've talked about on the show, consistency. That guy's pretty much got it figured out.
Absolutely. And I mean, with Colby Clausen there too, just really coming in, and first year in the class as well. And like Zach said, a lot of the most second place finishes in the season. So we got to get Colby on here sometime just to talk some more late model street stock racing.
I think we're going to have to.
Yeah, it did. Colby's an all-around great guy too. So Colby, if you're listening, love to have you on the show, man, and we'll be in touch. We are going to take another quick break here and hear from Advantage Racing TV and AOK Photography and Design. And just on the other side of the break, we've got some upcoming events that we're going to be talking about, as well as what to expect next week on the show. So we'll hear from them. Stay tuned.
Advantage Racing TV is your source for local entertainment in the tri-state area. From compacts to late models and sprint cars, Advantage Racing TV has just what you need to cure your racing ailments. Check them out online at www.advantageracing.tv and take advantage of your racing addiction.
AOK Photography and Design is the place for all your photo needs. AOK does racing hero cards, blankets, canvas, racing sponsor photos, as well as other personalized items. Located out of Montevideo, Minnesota, they can get what you need at an affordable price. Check them out on Facebook for more information, and you'll find that their guaranteed service is AOK.
Back here for the Announcers Booth podcast presented by Rapid Graphics. And yes, cannot say enough about Advantage Racing TV and AOK Photography and Design. Both produce quality products. Advantage Racing TV, they chase down some of the best races in our area and local racing as well. And these guys just produce a great product. Evan, I know you can attest to that as well. And AOK Photography and Design, Alex does such a great job with the photos that he takes, traveling to different racetracks and traveling with different series as well from time to time. Calendars. He's got calendars out, I believe, till the 10th of November. So if you're looking for a calendar, be sure to hit them up on the Facebook page to get one. He's got some with Soda and IMCA, I believe. So be sure to check them out as well. Evan, we got a few upcoming events that we need to talk about here, and one of them, I know you and I are looking forward to this, as we will be live from this event, and that is Racing with the Stars for the Holiday Horsepower Drive at Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs on November 7th.
Yes, sir. I'm pretty excited about it.
For those of you that don't know what Joe's Karting is, it is a indoor go-kart track, and they have the slick oval track out there. And the Racing with the Stars event, they get these quote-unquote celebrity race car drivers from around the area. It is an invitational only, and they come and race these go-karts, and it is open to the public. So anyone can come in, pay some money to race with these guys, and a portion of the proceeds are donated to the Holiday Horsepower Drive, and they collect donations and gifts for the Children's Hospital in Omaha, and they go and give those gifts out at Christmas. It is a wonderful charity. Check them out on Facebook. It's Holiday Horsepower Drive, Racing with the Stars. Once again, it's November 7th. Evan, you and I are going to be live at this event, getting some interviews and talking with Buddy Ray Jones, who is the founder of this charity. And I mean, Buddy, he's got a great story himself in a sport mod.
Does he? I've heard a little bit about him. I'm excited to actually meet him and get to talk to him about it.
Well, one of the things I'll tell you that might refresh your memory, Buddy Ray Jones is basically the real-life Woody from Toy Story.
That I was thinking that, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yes, that would be Buddy Ray Jones. We will try to get his story there as well. And yes, if you can make it down, ladies and gentlemen, this is for a great cause, benefiting the Children's Hospital. And it's all about the kids on Christmas, just to see the smiles on their faces, and it also lets them know that they are never forgotten on Christmas.
Exactly.
Also coming up here in a couple short weeks, November 10th, I believe, is the starting date. The Sodak iRacing Series is going to be out as well. And, it is going to be an awesome event. And, it's 10-week schedule again. And I know you're kind of a little bit familiar with this, Evan, but not as much. But the last season, we had a 10-week schedule, and we had 9 different winners in 10 races, only one repeat winner, and oh my goodness, the level of talent these guys with iRacing is just so unreal.
I might have to figure out how to watch some of that.
Well, I can
get into that.
I can tell you where you can watch it. Advantage Racing TV's Facebook page. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is free on Advantage Racing TV's Facebook page, broadcasted each and every Wednesday night, starting November 10th at 8 p.m. Central Time. And it's something you are not going to want to miss.
I'm going to have to watch it.
Absolutely. Look forward to having you there as well. And looking forward to seeing all you great race fans there as well. And a big thank you to you guys tuning in each and every week. Evan and I could not be more grateful. I want to say a big thank you to Zach Olivier for being on the show today. Also a big thank you to Matthew Broadus, Jerry Van Sickle, and Sean Neistat for helping out on the show. Evan, any final closing thoughts?
Y'all have a great week. Stay safe. Have fun. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Surprise next week. Well, you know what? Let's ruin the surprise, shall we, Evan? Next week on the show, we have the voice of the World of Outlaw Late Model Series, Rick Eshelman, as well as Dustin Jarrett, voice of Eldora Speedway. So be sure to tune in for that. Once again, thank you for tuning in here each and every week. We hope to see you back next week for another show of the Announcer Booth Podcast presented by Rapid Graphics. Take care, everyone.